One second. All right, we're ready.
Thank you. Good evening. It's Tuesday, July 2nd, 2024, and this is the annual organization meeting of the Greenberg Central School District Board of Education. I'm now going to call the meeting to order. It's 7 o'clock p.m. Could everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. First item on our agenda is an anticipated adjournment to our executive session. Can I get a motion, please?
I move that we adjourn to executive session to discuss collective bargaining negotiations, the employment history of particular persons, and personnel matters of employee records, and matters deemed confidential by state or federal law, including seeking advice from counsel.
It's been properly moved in second. Is there any discussion? Trustees, we're going to meet alone first, and then we will call legal into the room. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carried. Thank you. We're now in executive session.
Okay, you're live.
Welcome to the annual organization meeting of the Greenberg Central School District. Today is July 2nd, 2024. We're now at the point of the agenda where we're taking the oath of office. Trustee-elect Sampaleo, may you please stand and raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear to support the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the State of New York, and to faithfully discharge the duties of Board of Education trustee for the Greenberg Central School District to the best of your ability? I do. Congratulations. Trustee-elect Mans, may you please stand and raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear to support the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the State of New York, and to faithfully discharge your duties as Board of Education trustee for the Greenberg Central School District to the best of your ability? I do. Congratulations. Now we're up to the election of the president for the 24-25 school year. Before I take nominations for the office of president, I would just ask that you raise your hand so that I may call upon you, since I'm also taking the minutes of this meeting. In the event that a candidate is unopposed, Robert's Rules of Order states that an election is not required. The floor is now open for nominations. Trustee Warner.
I nominate Tracy Mayers.
Is there a second nomination? Going once, going twice. Trustee Mayers is the board president for the 2024-2025 school year. Trustee Mayers, please stand. Raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear to, oh goodness. Do you solemnly swear to support the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the State of New York, and to faithfully discharge your duties as Board of Education President for the Greenberg Central School District for the 24-25 school year?
I do.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I now turn the meeting over to the Board President.
Thank you very much, Ms. Kraus. Next on the agenda, we have our election of the vice president. The floor is now open for nominations. Can I get a nomination?
I nominate Chris Phelan.
I second. Is there another second? Okay, is there any other nominations on the floor? Hearing none, it looks like you are our Vice President, Chris Phelan. Thank you. Okay. Do you swear her in, Ivy?
I can, or you.
I'd like you to do it.
Trustee Valen, please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear to uphold the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the State of New York, and to faithfully discharge your duties as Board of Education Vice President for the Greenberg Central School District for the 24-25 school year?
I do.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much, and I want to thank the board members for the confidence in the leadership team of Trustee Valen and myself. It is a very difficult job. We spend a lot of time talking, but also doing a lot of paperwork and organization, and it's a lot of work. So thank you so much. Next, we'll move on to our Board of Education Code of Ethics. Trustees, you'll find a copy of our Code of Ethics in front of you. I ask that you please read it and sign it, and verbally, we're going to read it out loud as well for the public. So there's 10 points here. I'll ask for us to start with number 1. Miss Adanya Mans, Trustee Mans, can you start please with number 1?
Remember always that my first greatest concern must be the educational welfare of all students of the district. Want me to keep going?
Trustee Malone?
Number 2, observe the regulations and policies of the school system and the laws, rules, and regulations governing education in New York State.
Number 3, attend regularly scheduled board meetings and study the issues to be considered at these meetings. and attend additional meetings as necessary. The regularly scheduled meetings of the GCSD Board are generally held on the first and third Tuesdays of each month, but the actual schedule will be delivered to all board members in advance and will be posted on the GCSD website.
Thank you, Trustee Warner. Number 4, and this is one of the more difficult ones for myself and board members. Focus board action on policy making, planning, and evaluation, and on ensuring the prudence and ethics of the district's operation, and recognize that the superintendent, not the board, is responsible for the day-to-day administration of the district.
Number 5, recognize that the board functions only as a board through duly adopted policies and actions approved at public sessions, that individual board members have no authority to act on behalf of the district or the board.
Number 6, render all decisions based on the available facts and independent judgment, and refuse to surrender that judgment to individuals or special interest groups.
Number 7, encourage the free expression of opinion by all board members and seek systematic communications between the board and students, staff, and all elements of the community.
Become informed about current educational issues by individual study and through participation in programs providing needed information, such as those sponsored by state and national school boards associations.
Number 9, support the employment of those persons best qualified to serve as school staff and insist on regular and impartial evaluations of all staff.
Number 10, communicate to other board members and the superintendent expressions of public reaction to board policies and programs.
Next on our agenda is item number A8, which is our introduction of ex officio student members. Several years ago, the Board of Education decided to have student members of our board. They do not enter executive session with us, so they are not privy to personnel information and confidential information in that way. However, they do sit up on the dais with us. This is the 3rd year that we're doing it, and lo and behold, we did get an email earlier this year that the state is actually considering making that a requirement. So we were ahead of the curve, which is nice. Every year we have 2 Board of Ed student ex officio members, which is helpful because they must be a senior. And senior year is pretty stressful. So because we have 2, they're able to rotate if needed, or both can attend. This year, our student ex officio board members are Leo Lorente Valen. Do you want to introduce yourself, sir?
Hi, I'm Leo, and I'm going to senior year, and I'm excited to do this, I guess.
Thank you. And we have Trayson Thaluzma. Can you introduce yourself, please, sir?
Hi, my name is Trayson Thaluzma, and I'm going into senior year as well. I'm also very excited to do this.
Wonderful, because I will be calling on you guys a lot to give a report each meeting and share some information about the student body, the senior class, but more importantly, the student body. And last year's Board of Ed ex officio trustees were very active, and there were some changes that were made, which is great, and we don't want to encourage you to come up here just to make changes, but definitely let us know how things are going and give us some feedback on what's happening with our students. Next, I am going to ask if we could make a little bit of a change to the agenda, if you guys will forgive me. We do have some staff that are on our agenda for appointment today, and if you flip ahead to page 19, everyone that's up here, it's item I1, which, excuse me, it's going to be item H1, which is appointment of new hires being introduced tonight. Unless someone objects on the board, I'd like to kind of insert this. I'm sorry, Ivy, because you talked to me a million times about this agenda and I didn't catch this. But I'd like to insert this earlier. Thanks, Trustee Warner. And I also have an amendment, so if we could insert item H into A8 somehow. And then we have 3 appointments here under H, even though H only has 2 on the printed calendar. The 3rd appointment is an amendment. It's instructional personnel item. I guess it'll be H3. I don't know how you're going to number it, Ivy. Okay, thank you. The amendment is to have, yes, item K3 there, and I'm going to read that resolution. Actually, I'll read all 3. How's that? I'll go quickly. Item H1 is be it resolved that recommended by the Superintendent of Schools, the Board of Education approves a probationary appointment of Dr. Ogechi Iwaha in the administrative tenure area of Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum Instruction Programs and Personnel at a salary of $205,998 effective August 5th, 2024, ending August 4th, 2027. Dr. Iwaha is certified as a school district leader, which qualifies them to serve in the schools of New York State. She shall be assigned district-wide for this year. Be it further resolved that the Board of Education hereby approves the terms and conditions of employment for Dr. Ogechi Iwaha as set forth in a letter directed to them dated July 2nd, 2024. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
It's been properly moved and second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Welcome to the family, Dr. Iwaha. If you don't mind, I would love for you to come up and introduce yourself. There's a mic there, and then shake everyone's hand.
Thank you so much. I'm moved with all the people behind me. So, but it's really an honor and a privilege to join the Greenberg Central. I can't even speak, right? So, Greenberg School District, and I am looking forward to working with Dr. Iverson and Lisa Raymond. This, to me, is a very critical role. And I really want to listen, as I spoke with you all, listen and engage with the community, with our students, our young people, the teachers, families, et cetera, because we need to work together to just continue and advance what Greenberg has set as a focus on excellence and innovation. So thank you.
Thank you. Yes, please come up. And next time you'll have a seat up here. Next, we have an appointment of Victoria Diaz. Ms. Diaz is here. Hi, please come up. Be it resolved as recommended by the Superintendent of Schools, the Board of Education approves probationary appointment of Victoria Diaz in the special subject area of special education at a salary of $82,583 effective August 28th, 2024, ending August 27th, 2028. Ms. Diaz is certified as students with disabilities from birth to grade 2, which qualifies her to serve in the schools of New York State. Ms. Diaz shall be assigned to Lee F. Jackson Elementary School for the 24-25 school year. Okay, can I please have you come to the mic and introduce yourself? Thank you.
Hi, I'm Victoria Diaz. I'm really happy to be here. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Diaz. Can I get a motion to accept the resolution?
So moved.
It's been probably moved in second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention? Motion carries. Welcome. You want to come up and say hello? Thank you so much, Ms. Diaz. And last but not least, we have another appointment. Be it resolved that as recommended by Superintendent of Schools, the Board of Education approves the probationary appointment of Jason Head as Dean of Students, School Climate and Culture at a salary of $138,374, prorated effective August 19th, 2024, ending August 18th, 2028. Mr. Head is certified as a school building leader, who qualifies him to serve in the schools of New York State. He is assigned to Woodlands Middle High School. Mr. Head, please come up and introduce yourself. Oh, sorry. Let me get a motion, please. I
moved.
said the motion. So moved. Thank you.
Second.
Second. It's been properly moved in second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Welcome, Mr. Head.
Hi, I'm Jason Head. Thank you very much, Dr. Avison, the board, for this incredible opportunity. I'm very excited to join this community. I'm looking forward to getting to know our students and our families come September.
Thank you. Please come up. And you will be seeing more of us, I'm sure, but anyone who has a student at Woodlands Middle High School will get to know Mr. Head. Before? Okay, trustees, if you will permit me to change once again to item I-1, the introduction of our new hires who are here. And then I'm going to ask everyone to stay and take a nice family photo. We met Dr. Iwoha, we met Ms. Diaz, we met Mr. Head. We also have Jasmine Bradwell, Woodlands Middle High School teacher? No, she didn't make it? Okay, maybe in September. And another E&L teacher is not able to make it. We have Brianna Smith. Are you here? Yes, no? No. All righty. Do we have Mr. Jordan Wu? No? Am I 0 for 0 today? No. No one. Okay, well, we met the people who are here. So let us please have a brief recess for the Board of Education group photo along with our new hires that we just met. And then we will return hopefully by 8:35 on stage. Good? Yes, thank you. Luke, we ready?
You are on.
8:35 as promised. Now we have our appointment items. Excuse me, annual appointments. Can I get a motion?
I move that we approve the appointment items presented to the board for approval this evening.
Second.
It's been properly moved in second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Can I get a motion for our authorization items?
I move that we approve the authorization items presented to the board for approval this evening.
Second.
It's been properly moved in second. Any discussion? I will say, I hope that folks notice that we did increase certain rates here for our certified staff to cover for substitutions, and I think that's important to note that it was brought to our attention that our rates were a little lower, so we increased them. Okay, any more comments? None? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Next on our agenda, we have our designation items.
I move that we approve the designation items presented to the board for approval this evening.
Second.
Please note that item E3 is amended to include the name of board president as an official bank signatory. Is there any discussion?
Yes.
Go ahead, Trustee Valen.
So, in section, sorry, let me find it, because we're multiple pages. On page 17, number 5 of section, gosh almighty, sorry guys.
E5.
E5, Board of Education meetings. I feel like, whoa, okay, it is working. It currently lists different school buildings to visit once a year, presumably to hear the building presentation at those buildings. I think the question, okay, thank you. I think the question has been raised as to whether we remain at this location for all of our regular meetings, or do we continue our traveling meetings? So I wanted to pose that question to the rest of the board.
Let's poll the board. Trustee Mans? I don't know if you heard Trustee Valen, because the acoustics in here suck sometimes, but for our regular meetings only, we tend to travel. We go to each building and do our meeting at that building, and then the staff from that building does a presentation. What Trustee Valen is saying is, should we stay put or should we travel?
I would suggest to travel. I'm fine with that.
Okay, Trustee Along?
I like the traveling,
Okay, Trustee.
especially the presentations.
All righty, thank you. Trustee Warner?
Travel.
Trustee Valen? Actually, I'll come back to you. Trustee Sempalayo?
Travel.
Trustee Jacobson?
Travel.
Trustee Valen?
It's a moot point now, but.
It is.
So for variation, I'll say stay put.
Okay, and I'll travel. So we're going to be traveling again this year. It looks like the first time will be November 19th to Lee F. Jackson, December 17th to Highview, January 21st to Bailey, and then all the rest of our regular meetings will be right here in the auditorium, and our work sessions will be in the library or the Innovation Lab
At the high school building.
at the Woodlands Middle High School. Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Next on our agenda are determinations.
I move that we approve the determination items presented to the board for approval this evening.
Second.
It's been properly moved in second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. If you'll notice, we had our appointment of new hires already, because everyone let me chop up the agenda. Thank you. We are going to convene our regular meeting now, and next we have our reports and public comments. We already did our introductions of new hires. We have our Pupil Personnel Services Department presentation. That is with you, Mr. Chiarusso. Excuse me, Dr. Chiarusso. I'm on a roll tonight, and I am getting all types of corrections. So thank you. But before we go there, I do know that we have a public commenter. The only reason why I'm bringing this up is that do we have just one tonight. And my understanding is that this public member showed up at our last board meeting, but we had adjourned to exec session early. So what's your pleasure, board? Should we allow the public commenter to speak now and then do our policy presentation and our people personnel presentation and all of those things? Or should we have her wait through all of these things? Does anybody have a preference?
Speak now.
Trustee Valen? Okay, so does anybody object and want to, I've been chopping up the agenda all night, so if we could go ahead and let her speak now, that would be great. Trustee Valen?
I think is this one-time exception, but I also want to say we're starting a new year, and I think for meetings in general, I think we should be following the agenda. And if we continue to set presentations, et cetera, before public comment, then that's the way the order falls, because that goes in line with expectations. What people may also be wanting to speak about might be those presentations and the reports.
We will not make an exception again.
Thank you.
As much as possible, unless the board decides. Yes, we hear you, and you're absolutely right. Normally,
Then we
it's
should consider
after.
having the agenda put in a different order.
We can look at
As a
that in
regular
governance,
basis.
too.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so Ivy, can you please pass down the public speaker? And Ms. Izguirre, could you please step to the podium? Thank you.
Do we have a translator?
Thank you. The mic, maybe you might have to move it closer to you if is it on? Ah,
We have a translator.
it's so hard to hear you. You gotta,
Translator.
Do we have a translator?
we have two board members that are bilingual that could probably translate for you. Is either one of you? She said she wants a translator. She wants to say it in Spanish. You want a translator?
I have the paper in English. I can give it to you, but I'll read it in Spanish.
I can't hear her.
She has a paper in English.
She also needs to use the mic if it wants to be heard. So it's not just that we can't hear her.
Yeah, if you don't use the mic, the people at home can't hear you. Yeah. I don't know what this is, if it's. Oh, okay. So this is the English of what you're going to verbally say.
Can someone translate it for me?
Yes, it's just that we can't hear you on the mic. Maybe, Dr. Giarrusso, can you take it off for her and maybe she can hold it to her mouth?
No.
No?
There? Is that good?
Yeah, it's better, but okay. As long as, Luke, can you hear it up there?
It is working.
Test, test. Hello, hello. Give me 1 second. Sorry, 1 second. Yeah, give her yours.
Can I put it there? 'Cause thank you. Hello? I think it's the same. If I read like the first lines in Spanish,
Sure.
and then you,
You can read it in whichever language you like, but we're not going to read your statement after this. We're reading this as board members, but you can say it in English or Spanish, whatever you're comfortable with.
no, but I want someone to translate it for me. That's why I gave you the paper.
We just have to have somebody read it.
You want someone to translate it into English? Is that what you're, after you speak?
Yes,
Is that what you're trying
because
to do?
I'm gonna say in Spanish.
I gotcha.
Okay, go ahead. You're gonna take your, do you wanna do 4 minutes now?
I don't know when you start.
So, the guy's raising his hand.
Yes?
Okay.
Oh, okay, so whenever you start speaking, he's gonna use the timer for you.
One question. So is someone gonna translate it for me or not?
I'm gonna read what you have here. So
Okay.
you can start, he's gonna start your timer.
Is that allowed or no? I don't know. I'm sorry, apologize if
It's not
that's-
really
is a
allowed, but
mistake.
we're allowing it this one time,
It's-
and then we're going to
it's-
probably have a meeting later and make some very clear decisions. But go
Okay.
ahead, we're gonna start your timer.
All right. Buenas noches. Should I just translate
Good
myself? Good evening. Miembros de la Junta Directiva y a los administradores de nuestro distrito escolar. Board members and administrators of our school district. Mi nombre es Giovanna Izaguirre Mateos. Soy hispana o latinoamericana de nacionalidad peruana y mi religión es católica. My name is Giovanna Izaguirre Mateos. I am Hispanic or Latin American. My nationality is Peruvian and my religion is Catholic. Yo he estado tratando de evitar venir ante ustedes, pero hay alguien más fuerte que yo que hoy me trajo aquí. Y ese alguien es Dios. Porque Él sabe que yo siempre trato de hacer las cosas que son correctas y aunque no soy perfecta, Él sabe que yo siempre trato de dar lo mejor de mí. I was trying to avoid being here, but there is someone more powerful than I that brought me here tonight, and that is God, because only He knows that I am always trying to do the things that are right, and even though I'm not perfect, God knows that I do my best to give the best of me.
So Ms. Izaguirre, can you just read it maybe in Spanish if you're comfortable, and then I'll just read what you have here written.
Tengo 2 hijos en este distrito escolar y hoy vengo ante ustedes no solo representando a mi familia, pero también representando a todas las familias que como yo ponemos la confianza de la educación de nuestros hijos en ustedes. I have 2 children in this school district, and I came today not only representing my family, but also representing all those families that, as the same as me, put the trust of the education of our children in you.
So Ms. Izaguirre,
Porque
just
son-
read the Spanish. I'll read the English later. You could just finish the statement in Spanish.
Porque son ustedes que toman esas decisiones que son importantes en la educación de nuestros hijos y sus decisiones impactan en el futuro de ellos. Yo he estado participando de varios comités y he tenido la oportunidad de aprender y al mismo tiempo de informarme de cosas que son preocupantes. Como por ejemplo, la creación de un programa que tiene una finalidad que debería ser más justa e involucrar a otros estudiantes. Y otras cosas más. Y es por eso que hoy decidí venir ante ustedes con la esperanza que me escuchen y hagan algo al respecto. Por razones de tiempo, en este momento es preferible no entrar en detalles. Pero ustedes lo saben, pues he conversado por teléfono, he enviado emails y también he enviado emails expresando mis preocupaciones. Y no sé si están haciendo algo al respecto o no. Como madre, yo puedo venir y expresarme, pero son ustedes quienes tienen la última palabra y los que deciden si se puede hacer algo al respecto o no. Sé que hemos mejorado, pero sé que aún nos falta mucho más por hacer y sé que ustedes lo saben. Por ello yo les pido que hagan los cambios que sean necesarios para que sigamos mejorando en beneficio de los estudiantes. porque son ustedes quienes tienen esa responsabilidad y son ustedes quienes tienen toda la información, todos los conocimientos y la experiencia necesaria para poder tomar esas decisiones importantes. Muchas gracias por su atención.
Thank you so much. Where you stopped was because you are the ones that make these important decisions in our children's education, and your decisions impact their future. I have been participating in different committees, and I had the opportunity to learn more and at the same time to be aware of different things that are concerning. For example, the creation of a program that its purpose should be more just and involve more students and other things, and that is why I decided to come here today with the hope that you will listen and do something about it. Because I don't have enough time, I won't be able to provide other details, but I know that you know what I'm talking about because I've spoken over the phone with some of you, and also I had sent emails expressing my concerns, but I do not know if you are doing something about it or not. As a mother, I can come and present you my issue, but you are the ones that have final word and the ones that decide if there is something that can be done or not. I know that we have made some improvements, but I also know that there is so much more that needs to be done, and I know you know that. Then I ask you to please make the changes that are necessary so that we can continue to improve for the benefit of our students, because you are the ones that have that responsibility. And you are the ones that have all the information, all the knowledge, and the necessary experience to make those important decisions. Thank you for your attention. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we have no other public commenters, Ivy? Okay. Trustees, thank you so much for allowing me to deviate from the agenda multiple times this evening. Next on our agenda is Dr. Nicholas Giarrusso. We have a Pupil Personnel Services Department presentation. Thank you.
Board of Education members, please head down to the seats for the presentation. All right, good evening to the board and to everybody else in the room tonight. Dr. Iverson, Lisa Raymond, to the community watching at home. I'm Nicholas Giarrusso, Director of PPS and Special Ed with the district. And I was asked tonight to come to speak about a particular topic related to building transitions. So I wanted to kind of take this opportunity, as we're at that unique place with this meeting of ending the 23-24 school year and starting into 24-25, which officially started, I guess, yesterday with the start of our extended school year program, to just kind of recenter our work around our students. I have had an opportunity to take a course with Dr. Charlene Kellerman, and she made a comment in class one night that really kind of stuck with me, and it was, as you see before you, the best schools have staff who all pull in the same direction of this thing that we call kids, right? So this is just a representation, some recent pictures around the district, and I use that to kind of set the stage for just an opening remark about our PPS and special education staff. This is just a quick snapshot of all of the different individuals, personnel that fall underneath the department, and I just wanted to use this public forum to just thank everybody from our families that we've been partnering with, to obviously the board and all of our administration, staff, faculty, for all the work that has happened over the last year within our department. We've made some really, great gains in a lot of different areas, and while this is a focused conversation related to building transitions, I did just want to say thank you to the team that's obviously concluding a very important school year. So, as it relates to tonight's conversation, I'm going to just do a quick broad overview of the topic that I was asked to discuss, which again is how we kind of work to transition our students from building to building. So we all realize that in our district we have what I think is known as the Princeton model. We have various different buildings from our ECP, K1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then this building 7 through 12. So with that model come a lot of those times when students have to transition from one building to another building. And with that come a lot of different feelings for families and the students alike. So we put a lot of work and effort into trying to be able to manage those transitions effectively. And tonight what I'm going to do is, again, in broad strokes, give everybody just a little bit of an overview of some of the things that we value. And as I was mentioning, this is kind of a continuum. You have a lot of students that start off that year, and when they get close to the school year, there's a lot of excitement and anticipation for the year ahead, and certainly a lot of anxiety that comes along with those as well, not only for our students, but for our family. I put that SCL logo in the middle because as I was putting the slide together, a lot of the work that goes into the transitions would be on that end of the work that we do within the district, and being able to kind of foster that trust and connection with our students. So I thought that was a good way to kind of frame that. The foundations of our approach to transitioning our students, and for the point of this conversation, we are focusing on our special education population, but a lot of what I'm going to be presenting on tonight really cuts across the entire student body, and a lot of these strategies and approaches are really just consistent with all of our students. But we look at having a very student-centered approach, and I'll highlight some of the ways that we incorporate our students into that process. And then we also really value family community engagement in being able to provide opportunities for our families and for communities to partner with us in being able to help manage those transitions. And then obviously some strong internal articulation with directly discussing with our students and with our faculty and staff on the kind of things that we need to be keyed in on to make sure that these transitions occur very smoothly. So these are just some guiding practices, general practices across the district that we engage in to kind of try to do this work effectively. One would be we have our school psychologists attend the incoming annual review meetings for all of our students. So meaning if you have a child who's matriculating from, let's say, second grade to third grade, we would have the school psychologist at Highview be on that Lee F. Jackson annual review meeting, so they would be able to become intimately involved with the student's progress, where that student is at the end of that second grade year, and begin that articulation back within their building to help manage that student's transition. Whenever we have an initial eligibility meeting, especially meetings that occur toward the latter half of a school year, if that student is going to be matriculating into a new building, we also similarly have that school psychologist from the receiving building attend that meeting for the same type of purpose. There is a lot of vertical building-to-building articulation. Those things occur for a variety of purposes: sharing of files, sharing MTSS, multi-tiered system of support data that's been collected, medical alerts, and various other pieces of information occur through building-to-building articulation, and we'll discuss a little bit more about that. There's a process for all students who have an individualized education plan when a new year starts. It's called the 408 process, and that happens every year at the very beginning of the year, where all staff that are connected to a child in their program, related service providers, they all sign off and acknowledge that they've read the student's incoming individualized education plan in full and understand what would be necessary to implement it with fidelity. We also do student visits, parent orientations. There's work within our nursing team for all special alerts, medical plans, medication needs, coordination of those needs with transportation when necessary, and then staff available to meet students when the school year starts, and that looks a little bit different in our various buildings, but that's another key point. So I did want to just dive into some highlights from the various different building-to-building transitions. First would be our ECP program, matriculating into Lee F. Jackson, commonly known as the CPSE to CSE transition. And as I highlighted, the Lee F. Jackson School Psychologist, and really on those meetings, we bring a broad team together of other, the building principals on those meetings, along with different related service providers, special education teachers, reading teachers, to be able to, have that opportunity for the incoming child into the kindergarten setting to be able to, be informed, have that team informed, mainly the parent to be able to understand the supports that are awaiting them at Jackson. The school psychologists, and we have both our district-wide school psychologist that works within our early childhood program and also our Lee F. Jackson psychologist, observe all of the incoming kindergarten students prior to that year's annual review season. So we would have the ability to observe and connect with the current program. Some of that occurs at our program at ECP, but then also we do have students that are placed in other county programs. So we go around to those programs and make sure that we visit and observe our children before they matriculate up to Lee F. Jackson. Meetings with the principal and myself to discuss transitioning students. We do have a parent university offering every year that we work with the Family Engagement Center through the strategic partnership we have with BOCES, and that one of those parent universities is related to bringing families in that are going to be having students attend our kindergarten program, so we can have a conversation about that transition. And then just coordinating of services and supports with our building principal. Ms. Patricia Simone is very actively involved in working with coordinating services with her staff. As we move to Lee F. Jackson to Highview, a couple of areas of notes. As you see, some of these things are repetitive and similar practices. Our school psychologists are invited to all of our first grade annual review meetings, so we can have that, again, that coordination. We have Highview team is invited and participates in any first grade initial eligibility meeting. The first graders do tour Highview in late May, early June. We have continuous communication between the Jackson and Highview teams regarding students with unique needs. Lee F. Jackson and Highview also articulate every June. So they have focused conversations related to the incoming class to be able to, work through whatever supports need to be put into place when the new school year starts. And then clearly, really, our number one goal is safety, being able to key in on those factors. So we do look at safety medical information of the incoming class with the school nurse and staff. And then at Highview, they have they put a key emphasis on having support staff in the hallways, helping direct students to classes and answer any questions they have. And they also have like a welcoming process on the first, really every day, but they are there when school starts, and they have a full assembly with the children on the first day of school in their gymnasium. So as we move up the continuum from Highview to Bailey, again, same thing as far as an annual review process goes with having our R.J. Bailey psychologist on those Highview meetings. We also have the visit, which you'll notice is consistent across the district, so the third graders do visit R.J. Bailey in June. We have vertical articulation every June between the building teams to discuss red flags and any MTSS students, so it's not just solely focused on students that currently have an active individualized education plan, but there is that need to have a process of coordinating that MTSS support and having that information travel with the students, because sometimes students are responding well to interventions and are not necessarily being referred, and they're working on getting their needs met through building level supports. So at really all of these breaks that we have along the continuum, that's also another big thing that we focus on. Clinical teams articulate with the fourth grade special ed teachers. After annual reviews have been completed, there's a sharing of all documentation to review plans and signing off on all of those elements of the plan. I referred to that as the 408 earlier. And then there's a process really district-wide of looking at needs specific to behavior intervention plans, one-to-one aids, and those things are managed at the building level with our clinical team by having individual meetings with those individuals as necessary when the new year starts. The school psychologist also meets with Ms. Rossi in June to review the incoming fourth grade class, as well as any special education concerns that were brought up at annual review meetings. And then in September, The clinical teams meet with each grade level to review 504 plans and special education plans, to just be able to highlight any red flags that were brought up along the process, and to also discuss the students that were actively in our multi-tiered system of support. As we move from Bailey into this building, Woodlands Middle High School, we do a variety of different things, still have that continuity with having our middle school psychologists participate on those incoming 6th grade Bailey annual reviews. The 6th graders that are matriculating up to Woodlands do come to do a building visit in June, and the staff articulates in June, again with those building level articulation meetings. RJ Bailey sends files up from Bailey up to Woodlands, which is a practice that really is consistent throughout the district. There's a coordination of the one-to-one aides, and at Woodlands there's a case manager system, so all of additional support is coordinated through the psychologist and case manager, and that information gets disseminated to the rest of the team. There's a follow-up with the nurse to make sure that medical needs and trainings are happening, safety concerns are addressed via articulation with the staff, and students with one-to-one aides, again, get their students' plans reviewed at the beginning, at the onset of the new school year. So then within Woodlands, we have a unique dynamic where we have a middle school and a high school within the same setting. So what we do is try to have those conversations with our incoming 8th graders that are going into 9th grade, while they, by that point, are clearly familiar with the setting and with the building. There are some uniquenesses that present themselves as they become high schoolers, and we are sensitive to that, and we do the best we can during their experience in the building to try to delineate the middle school experience from the high school experience. So what we do to manage the transition to high school is the first 2 periods during the first week, all teachers review procedure and have conversations where they can directly just connect with students to discuss the transition and what might be on their minds, review building level supports, and just kind of give the students a forum to be able to discuss the transition. Clinical staff and building level admin table, and by that they set up like a table within the commons area, so the students have access to clinical staff during their first few weeks to be able to understand building level supports, answer any questions, get to know the clinical team, by that psychologists, social workers, and guidance counselors. We do have those discussions related to the IEP and 504 cases with the case managers. The middle school sends the files up to the high school as necessary, as is consistent with practices leading up to that point. There is a student orientation that's conducted within this building for our rising 9th graders. So that's where that student-centered approach comes into play, where we really start to, at the higher ends of the continuum, really provide the students with those kind of specific conversations. Those meetings are also happening building level with our grade level meetings, which articulate expectations for all of the high school students. So in those meetings, they're typically discussing graduation pathways, elective options, student activities, things that they can get involved in, making sure that the students understand where they're at in the process, grade by grade. So there's a 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th grade student meeting that happens at the beginning of the school year. And then additionally to that, the support staff push into middle school classes to introduce themselves to students. The school psychologist will send email to student team members to alert of anything that might be of particular importance to the team we need to be aware of. And then there is an articulation of program-centric needs during superintendent conference days. So there are those times when we're going to be having students that will be matriculating into programs within the building, where we'll have some articulation on superintendent conference day, when we have that PLC time on the back half, often of one of our first 2 days, where they'll have some conversations to try to smooth out the transition for students that are going to be coming to join us in the beginning of the year. So a couple of other highlights that I wanted to focus on was that there are orientations. It is a practice that we've engaged in for a long time in the district. So on the left-hand side of the screen, I just kind of marked all of those orientations that occur throughout the district. We have one at really all of the breaking points. So on the right-hand side was just another focus on some partnerships we have. We have Parent University, And as I mentioned earlier, we have a specific parent university related to the CPSE to CSE transition. That particular parent university is often well attended by some members of the Lee F. Jackson team that do one of their late nights to join that particular meeting, because we often have really good parent participation on those calls, and they're obviously able to answer any particular questions related to the Jackson experience. And then understanding your child's IEP, which is another parent university that we partner with WIHD every year to be able to run typically before the annual review process unfolds. So any students that would have, any families that would have any questions about their children's IEP can be answered through that parent university. So also, you know, throughout the course of the presentation, you've heard about the building-to-building articulations, and those really are happening in a variety of different ways. So as it relates to this particular conversation of the students transitioning between buildings, they have those conversations routinely, as we especially get after the annual review process, and most of these occur in the month of June. And then also we have an infrastructure within our PPS and special education department for our vertical articulations, and we call them huddles, and I believe I spoke a little bit about that last year. And when we get into the latter months of the school year, we really are focusing on having conversations across all of these different team members to just understand the needs of what that might be unique that the other professionals on that call would need to know about. So again, we have monthly guidance counselor, social worker, school psychologist, speech and language pathologist, OT, behavior intervention, and nursing huddles. And those we call vertical articulation, because all district-wide staff in those individual categories would be on that call. And that's an opportunity for us to be able to, again, be able to focus on these type of transition questions and, articulate effectively. So another thing I just wanted to highlight, because it's a unique partnership that we have, and what I mentioned early on about some of our core focuses and the community engagement, we have a lot of really great community partners that we work with in the district to do a variety of different things within, PPS, special education, and beyond. One that kind of funnels into the conversation, that funnels into this conversation about building-to-building transitions is our partnership with the JCK Foundation, the John C. Kelly Foundation. They've been now entering their 4th year of partnering with Greenberg, and they're mostly in, I think exclusively at this point, in R.J. Bailey and Woodlands Middle High School. They come in to to both of those buildings multiple times a year. They work within our health and physical education department to be able to do unique workshops with our students and cultivate pathways and relationships with our staff in a variety of ways, mainly through the lens of raising mental health awareness, and also having a conversation related to how students would be able to advocate for supports, whether it's for themselves or for a friend, to be able to access the supports that are both internal to Greenberg and then also available outside of our school community. So this has been an excellent relationship. John Tessitore is the president of JCK, and he's going to be working with us again next year in the upcoming school year. And the relationship is going to evolve a little bit in 24-25 to include a mentor model for the incoming 6th graders who are going to be matriculating into Woodlands Middle High School in 25-26. We're going to be able to kind of pull some students that have been part of the program to kind of work with the rising 7th graders at Bailey next year, so they would be able to have some conversations as the year unfolds related to what the transition to Woodlands is going to look and feel like. So I did want to just highlight that because it was obviously directly related to this conversation. And on this final slide, I just kind of wanted on the left, it kind of focuses on the annual review process. It is a real big piece within the area of special education from when we have that opportunity and that forum, that platform with all of our families to be able to discuss specifically their child and that child's plan for the new year. A lot of clarity and understanding is provided in those meetings related to what the next year is going to look like. Where is that individual learner at in a variety of different ways, academically, socially, emotionally, physically. And we really kind of go in deep detail in these meetings related to how we're going to support these students as we move into the upcoming year. And a lot of conversations do happen in those meetings related to transitions, because for about half of all the meetings that occur, there's going to be a building transition that's going to be happening within the district. So on the left, it was just a review of the annual review process where really we have a great opportunity to lead these conversations. And then on the right was just our district logo, because there's so much more than that goes into that beyond just the annual review. So this is just representing the fact that through the emphasis we place on this in a variety of ways, we're pulling in that direction of kids. If we're doing everything effectively, we're obviously having, setting our students up for success as best we can to manage their needs as we head into the new, to each new school year. So that was just a quick overview of our building to transitions, and I just wanted to wish everybody, happy 4th of July to the families at home watching and to everybody here in attendance tonight.
Thank you so much, Dr. Giarrusso. Do we have questions, Trustee Warner?
Tell us about the transition from high school into the world beyond.
So that is a great question. There's also another, part of thinking wherein I'm in the extended school program, and there's also a lot of work that goes in with the students that are part of that program. This year it's at R.J. Bailey in planning and meeting their needs effectively as well, during that transition. So I should just also get that out there as well, because I know that the team, Joanna Kahn, building principal, and all of the staff at ECP work very, very hard on, setting that program up for success. As it relates to, obviously, beyond high school, post-secondary transition, I obviously did not include that as a focal point of the conversation, because I was focusing on, within our internal buildings, but we do have a very, strong emphasis on that within our special education department from, in a variety of different ways. So there's just the legal elements of it. Anytime a student is 12 years old, we officially, if we already haven't started that conversation in a formal way, begin deliberately having conversations related to post-secondary transition. We do that through different types of conversations with our families, with our students, with staff, and as they get up into the secondary level, through the state of New York, it's really 15 and up, 15 years of age and up. We do a variety of different things. In our district, we invite all of our students to all of our formal meetings, whether it's a program review or an annual review, and they also they get their own separate invitation to those meetings, which is a symbolic gesture, because we're really sending multiple, invitations to the same address oftentimes. But what it is allowing for is for our students to understand that this is their plan, their future, and we want them to be part of the process. So we place a great deal of emphasis of trying to have all of our formal meetings with student participation. And our case managers, particularly at Woodlands Middle High School, really do an excellent job of having those conversations in an ongoing way. That really extends through our support team. Guidance counselors are meeting with our students on a regular basis to try to understand their interests and how those interests could be paired with offerings that we have within the district. And that's where the magic happens. The better that we know our students, the better we're able to understand if we have things internal that can meet their needs from a long-term perspective, whether it's a BOCES program, an opportunity through offerings within the building, to be able to start to get them connected with the things that are of interest to them. One thing we did note was that sometimes when you have the conversations directly with the students, which had been a practice and still is, their understanding of what really is available to them within the world is sometimes limited to what they've experienced or what they, their view. So we have opened things up, and as of, I believe it was last year, we started a new practice where they engage in a vocational assessment that is an inventory that they'll complete. We use the one through the Westchester Community College. They have a really good tool, and that is allowing them to be able to fill that out, and then we have a better understanding of where their skill set and interests would align with maybe particular vocational opportunities that would be outside of something they might have been thinking about. And then there is a partnership with Access VR and other agencies that also partner with us on the work for students that would be eligible. Sure thing.
Thank you, Trustee Warner, for your question. Anyone else have questions? Trustee Valen, I feel like you had one, perhaps? Yes? Okay. Sorry.
I don't know how to phrase this exactly. So I understand all the articulation meetings that happen. That's usually a lot of the support staff and the building leaders. I don't get the impression that the teachers are involved. Do they have their class cohorts? Are they involved in those articulation meetings? And if not, I understand just because of a function of the calendar, there's not much time to actually read and review the IEPs and 504s of everybody before classes actually begin. So, during that week or so while you were indicating the first week of school, I think you know where I'm going. If you could just address that a little bit.
Yes, absolutely. So it's a very good point. We are kind of bound by the time that we have, right? I would say that, thankfully, we have a tremendous team that do go above and beyond in a lot of ways, even if not, mandated, to just try to be able to prepare themselves as best as possible. So to go backwards first to the year that would be coming to a close, so in this point, what had just previously happened, a lot of the lift on that, you are correct, it is on like the school psychologists and social workers, and the building principals get involved in that, and the different building leaders. And then there is, definitely connectivity though with our instructional staff, because they obviously know the students best. They work very, very intimately on developing the individualized education plan, so they are also central to the process. They all, in all of our buildings, get relief days to be able to develop our IEPs, and they are connected very, very closely with the clinical team and the building administration to be able to be part of the process. Where, I think maybe the time limitations come into play a little bit more would be that building team developing the IEP, connecting with the other building team. We do put as much emphasis into that as we can. We have more bandwidth on that with our related service providers, as I mentioned, with the vertical articulation huddles, where they're able to help turnkey that information. But we have been discussing that internally and trying to come up with some ideas for the upcoming year. And one of those things would look like having PLC time and trying to be more deliberate with providing opportunities, particularly towards the back end of the year, for those type of conversations to occur.
Okay, so last question. Not as advanced as the previous two. It's kind of a elementary question, because you talked about 504s, you talked about IEPs, and you talked about students that receive MTSS services. I don't know if you can very simply break that down. I don't know if all parents understand there's different levels and different options and services within our special education department.
Absolutely. I will do that as quickly as I can and hopefully try to make this make sense. So MTSS, I'll start with that. It's called Multi-Tiered Systems of Support. And that's a fancy, acronym for just basically what do we do for students within our school system that are experiencing some level of maybe difficulty in some area, whether it be academic, emotionally, behaviorally, and we try to catch those things as early as possible and then put an infrastructure of support underneath that child. And we do that in a variety of different ways, and that cuts across direct reading and math interventions academically, and then, all related service provider support if the area would be within the need for maybe an opportunity to speak in a non-mandated way with a school psychologist or a social worker or a guidance counselor, if a child might need speech and language or OT support to maybe round out an edge in one of those areas. and on. There's a very, we can do an entire, hour-long presentation about how we're doing our MTSS within our different buildings. But those children that do not respond appropriately to these interventions that we put into place, and these would be considered Tier 1 and Tier 2. Tier 1 is universal, things that would be happening for all students within the setting that they would be exposed to, typically at the classroom level. Tier 2 interventions might be that next level of support that I just outlined. When students are not responding appropriately to those levels, we have multiple options. We have the ability to make a referral for special education eligibility determinations, which would be option, one side of the coin, and then separate from that would be our Section 504 pathway, which would be for students that need more of accommodations to be able to level the playing field for a particular condition that they may present with. So it can really go both ways. You might have a student who would seemingly at first maybe be better suited for Section 504 supports, and if those supports are not enough, we do see sometimes that we have referrals come in through special education to see if more tertiary supports are necessary. And then the more common pathway would be that if a student was maybe ineligible for a special education during that process, based on all the information we learned through that eligibility, all the evaluations and all of the things that funnel into that, sometimes we do determine that a Section 504 would be more appropriate. And we certainly have students that have individualized education plans that get declassified because they're making very strong gains. And then sometimes those students would benefit from a Section 504 plan. Another important distinction is that an individualized education plan does end legally. The power of that document is a K through 12 public education document, where a 504 plan would be a general education plan that would extend into adulthood. So as students matriculate up the continuum based on their individual needs and indicators, we do also take that into consideration.
Thank you so much,
course.
Dr. Giarrusso. And I think that concludes the presentation unless we have another pressing question. I just will add that you started out as a psychologist here at the school district.
That is correct. Yes, I started in the 2013-14 school year as a school psychologist actually in this building.
So you've done the direct service clinical work and then moved up to the PPS department and achieved your doctorate, Dr. Giarrusso.
That is correct.
And
Thank
so I just want to applaud you for that because I like when we grow our staff. That's awesome.
I really appreciate
you.
that. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your time this evening. Okay, trustees, thank you, Dr. Giarrusso.
All right, thank you.
We're going to return to the stage to complete our meeting. Okay, thank you all for that. You okay? The presentation. It's now 9:27. We're going to move on to policy presentation. I'm going to turn the meeting over to Vice President Vallon. It's okay. Take your time.
Okay. At the last work session, the board reviewed policy 5415. It's a new policy regarding procurement, uniform grant guidance for federal awards. We are now presenting this policy to the public for comment. The policy comments can also come from fellow board members. This policy will be considered for board adoption at the regular meeting in September. Copies of the policy will be available in the district clerk's office and will be available on our website and board docs. Any comments concerning this policy should be submitted in writing to the Board of Education. Are there any comments or questions about this policy right now from fellow trustees? I see none, so President Mears, I'm finished.
Okay, thank you, Trustee Valen. Next item on our agenda is I-4, committee reports. Do we have any committees with a report for this evening? Trustee Warner.
Okay, the community on 6/4/24 via Zoom. Attending were Jamal Thomas, David Warner, and Kelly Johnson. The meeting convenes shortly after 7 p.m. I've sent you, well, the first thing we did was we planned the event dates for next year to be added to the district calendar, and I've sent you guys a hard copy of this report with all the dates. I'm not going to read them. And then I met with Ivy, and we made a few tweaks because there had arisen a couple of conflicts with the PTA Council. In an effort to identify opportunities for future CEC events, we reviewed past events that have fostered a sense of community in the district. STEAM Night, held in Woodlands Cafeteria, featured science and technology demonstrations and activities for students of all ages. Historically much larger, this event was successfully revived last year. There's potential for expansion in this event. The Tesla event. Tesla automobiles were on display in the R.J. Bailey parking lot. Students got to sit in the cars, and the technology was explained by company representatives. And Jamal was really happy because he got technology in there with his education. The Student Art Show, K-12. Student art was on display at the Greenberg Town Hall. On opening night, student artists were on hand to explain their work. The jazz band played selections. We had hors d'oeuvres. Several hundred parents attended. It's worth continuing. The principals panel. This is a pre-COVID event. Principals give an overview of their schools, and this gives the parents of younger students a preview of what they have to look forward to as their children progress through the school system. We saw that in our transitions tonight presentation, where the parents are looking as they move from school to school. There's apprehension, and if you give them information, then they feel a lot better. Greenberg Taste Off. That was a successful event, very successful event, fostered by the Falcons Nest Booster Club, in which local restaurants provide samples of their food, and attendees vote for their favorite. There were attempts to revise this after COVID. I haven't seen any successful yet. So there's potential there. The Harlem Wizards. The Harlem Wizards basketball team play against a team comprised of Woodlands faculty, and comedy ensues. This event was successfully revived after COVID-19. Good. The boys basketball, the varsity boys basketball team were Section 1 champions. It became one of the final four in the state level competition. This drew hundreds of community members to honor our students and watch the game, and it felt like like a class reunion on steroids. It was great. So all we have to do is have a winning basketball team, I guess. I don't know how to implement that. Okay. Back to school barbecue at Yosemite Park. This was not an official school event, but drew a large crowd from our community. Jamal spent 30 to 40 hours organizing this event. Our participants included the fire department and the PTA. This has potential as a community engagement event. So whoever is going to be on the community engagement committee, think about this. Jamal Thomas was an outgoing school board member who chose not to run for re-election, but served as chair for CEC for 3 years. We thank Jamal for his service, and the meeting adjourned at 7:45 p.m. The next meeting scheduled for the Community Engagement Committee is on September 23rd at 7 p.m., the location to be determined.
Thank you, Trustee Warner. Any comments? Yes, Trustee Valen?
I will just comment that annually, speaking of the basketball team and I'll say annually we have a homecoming. There's a tentative date out there. I'm not going to say it's finalized till everything's in print. But I will go ahead and say, for those planning to come in from out of town, for community engagement via homecoming, it's October 26th, tentatively, that weekend. So, community engagement, homecoming. Thank you.
And I have one more thing. The Finance and Facilities Committee and the board will conduct a building walkthrough of all schools in preparation for school opening. The walkthrough begins at 9 a.m. At the entrance, and I don't have the date for it. 27th.
Thank you, Trustee Warner.
Thank you.
So speaking of the dates that you have there, do we want to include those onto the calendar? They changed quite a bit last year,
We have them included on the calendar.
so they're not going to change. Do you want to chair the committee? Okay, we're not talking about that tonight. Okay. All right, so let's move on. Are there any other committee reports? Hearing none, we're going to move, yes, Trustee Valen, did you have a report?
Yes, but no. I will comment that today, July 2nd, the audit committee met at 2:30-ish, around 2:30, in the Black Box Theater at Woodlands Middle High School. We reviewed the response to the draft report of the Office of the New York State Controller, audit of the tax certiorari reserve accounts. Because it's in draft form, I'm not going to comment in any detail. I will say that the business office will be submitting a response letter within the next few weeks, and we are awaiting the final version of the report, and we expect that the final version of the report and the corrective action plan will be completed in the fall, at which time I will provide full details. We also briefly noted some emailed responses on the internal audit draft report that had to do with governance and policy. Some of those items will hopefully be reviewed by the internal auditors, and they will note that things are in place that they did not notice the first time, and other items will be forwarded to the Governance and Policy Committee for enactment at our fall September meeting. Again, further details will come in the fall once we have the final version of the report. Thank you.
Any other committee reports? Hearing none, we're going to move on. I will share with the public that the board is going to address committee assignments or volunteer for each committee at our retreat, which will be in public session, but that will be later this summer. And it will be duly noted as well and noticed. Next on the agenda is Board President's Report. I'm just going to say welcome and start to a new school year. 24-25 has officially begun, and the class of 2025 are officially seniors. So welcome, everyone. We look forward to a wonderful, wonderful year this year. It's going to be a lot of great things happening, and already we've started off quite warm. Hopefully everyone enjoys the summer. The board is going to have several retreat dates actually this summer. We have three dates scheduled, but 2 retreat dates, and then we're going to do some additional work scheduled. As you heard Trustee Warner say, we're going to have a walkthrough scheduled with the Facilities Committee in August 27th, which is a Tuesday. Hopefully all community members that are available will come out and see our buildings firsthand. We also are going to have an administrators retreat that our superintendent has every year with her staff. That's going to be the week before, and we return to school September 3rd, which is a Tuesday immediately following Labor Day. Next on our agenda is public comment, and we had our public comment earlier in the year, but has anyone else showed up? Ms. Kraus? No? Are you guys over there behaving? Okay. Next, we have our regular meeting approvals. Can I get a motion for personnel instructional items, please?
I move that we approve the instructional personnel items presented to the board this evening.
As amended.
As amended, sure, as amended.
Second.
It's been properly moved in second. Any discussion? Yes, Trustee Valen?
I just need to clarify with Ms. Kraus, do we need to say as amended if we technically moved item 3 to an earlier section? So it's not really amending it, it's just the live version of the agenda shows it not here. I'm sorry, I just need to clarify how we should word this motion.
I apologize. I think it's fine to say as amended because President Mayers did mention that the agenda was being moved around, even though I did change it on the live version.
Okay, any more discussion? And I was just going to bring up that we moved several items from the instructional personnel items to earlier in the meeting to satisfy everyone who was here at the time. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. With our personal non-instructional items,
I move that we.
which,
Oh. Okay, go ahead.
which is in our agenda a little further down under section L, category L. We do have an additional item, which is L5, and that is a motion I'm going to read to you guys, a resolution. Be it hereby resolved that the Board of Education accepts the resignation of Ashley Newman effective June 26, 2024. Can I get a motion?
I move that we approve the non-instructional items presented to the board for approval this evening as amended.
Second.
It's been properly moved in second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Next on our agenda is board action items, and that is listed as category L in the agenda. We have another addition. That's going to be item M10. It's category M as in Mary. We just did L, And that's going to be listed as M10. I'm going to read the resolution. Be it resolved that the Board of Education of the Greenbrook Central School District hereby authorizes the retention of John W. Coverdale to serve as an independent investigator at the following rates: $225 per hour and $350 flat rate fee per visit for travel expenses as needed. Can I get a motion?
I move that board action item M5 be amended to include the name of Sarah Lazari.
Second.
Okay, so you're adding that.
I'm adding a name to the list, yes.
Okay. And did you make a motion as well? Okay. And the motion for all of the,
That comes after I do this one.
I
seconded it already.
Okay. It's been properly moved in second. Is there any more discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. So is, Ivy, is M10 included, or do we reread?
No, so before you asked for a motion, you said that you were adding M10.
Okay.
And then you asked for a motion, and then trustee Warner
Okay,
presented
so
his
it's-
motion.
Good, wonderful, so we're done. Okay, great.
Now we're
Yes.
down to
No.
Now
the
he's going to do that.
base approval. I move that we approve the board action items presented to the board for approval this evening as amended.
Second.
It's been properly moved in second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Next on our agenda are our finance items. Can I get a motion? Anyone? I'm checking to see if nothing needs to be changed.
I move that we approve the board action items.
We did that already.
We did all-
Finance items?
I move that we approve the finance items presented to the board for approval this evening.
Second.
It's been properly moved in second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? All the, motion carries. Next on our agenda are our business items. Can I get a motion?
I move that we approve the business items presented to the board for approval this evening.
Second.
It's been properly moved in second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Next on our agenda are pupil personnel services items.
I move that we approve the pupil personnel services items presented to the board for approval this evening.
Second.
It's been properly moved in second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. So now we are at the point of a second executive session. It is now 9:43. Is there a motion for our second executive session?
I move that we adjourn to executive session to discuss the employment history of particular persons, personnel matters, and/or employee records. Are there any other good reasons? Okay.
Is there a second? It's been properly moved in second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Trustees, we're going to shoot for 30 minutes max. Thank you.
We are ready now.
Huh?
We're live.
We are live. Great. Thank you, everyone. We are back. It's now 10:25 p.m. And we're going to return to our agenda. Next item up for our agenda is Q1, new business items. Is there any new business, Board Trustee Jacobson?
Just out of sheer tradition, I just wanted to thank Mr. M for being a great partner and liaison for Highview this year. And happy summer.
Thank you. And Trustee Valen?
A couple things. One is a quick question about the MBK Summer of Yes program. I know you sent an email out a week or two ago announcing that program and how it would be run. And I'm wondering, are they still accepting participants in that program? And if so, do they need to contact someone different than, who should they contact and how do they go about getting involved?
Yes, anyone interested in enrolling in the program should email mbk@greenbergcsd.org. Any parent who would like to have your son or daughter, grades 6 through 12, to attend the MBK Summer Yes program can just use that email and it'll go straight to the program, a director, a leader, and they will take it from there. Right now, I have not heard that there's a cutoff.
Okay. Trustee Valen?
Then I thank you for that, Dr. Iverson. I just also have an announcement to the board, and that's that I have already spoken with Trustee Mayers, and it's just to inform you that I've been nominated to be on the board of the Westchester Putnam School Board Association. They have a retreat next week, and at that time it will be a resolution to approve or not approve my membership of that board. But just FYI.
Isn't that wonderful? So this way, Trustee Valen will have a direct connection with WSBA, which is the Westchester, what is that? Is it a mouse? No. Jesus. Listen, if you've been to our Finance and Facilities Committee meetings, you know that every once in a while we do have little forest critters in woodlands, in the woods. Okay, sorry, I saw your face. It looked like the other time with the meeting. Okay. Are there any other new business items? Congratulations, Trustee Valen. Yes, you have another one?
Thank you. Yes, I'd also like to inform, everybody wants to get out of here, so I'm going to prolong it as much as possible, so it's 10:30 even. I just wanted to inform the board that we have had the mock calendar, the draft calendar for next year shared with us. It is still in the draft stages. At the end of my comment, I'd like to understand if there's the deadline and when that needs to be completely finalized. But as far as the rest of the board is concerned, we have penciled in, or heavily penciled in, I should say, some dates for Education Committee. So if you want to refer to that mock calendar for those dates, since until this is finalized at a retreat, but it looks like a majority of the board does want to be a member of that committee, so it will most likely become a committee of the whole. So we took the liberty of adding some dates to get them on the calendar. That's all, and then I don't know if Ms. Kraus can give us information on the deadlines for dates to be added.
Well, I'm working with the calendar with Dr. Iverson. We're trying to get the dates all finalized by this week because we have to start, the design and all that fun stuff.
So that means tomorrow, right? Because Thursday and Friday were closed?
No, that's up to Dr. Iverson.
We'll try to get to it tomorrow.
And also I noticed some of the events on the calendar do not have times on them, which is fine. I'm just gonna ask that we really, when you have your administrator retreat and talk with the building leaders, really stress the importance of having a rotating schedule so that we include all parents and not just morning events or daytime events. And there's been times that different people have missed my own children events, and when I asked it was because their district events had evening events. And I'm like, oh, but my district events have daytime events. So if we can maybe rotate things, there's principals' coffees, there's, you know, award ceremonies and things. If we could just have some in the daytime and some in the evening, that would be really helpful. But I do know that we also have staff that maybe don't necessarily have to work in the evening. So whatever we can do to try to balance it, I think would be helpful. That's all. Okay. Trustee Valen?
Okay, sorry, I'm going to belabor this. To this point, we specifically did not choose a time for the Education Committee meetings, which will all be in the evening, to encourage full participation. Do we want to now just kind of do a round robin to see what the preferred start time for that would be, or?
Sure, I say 7. Yes, Trustee Jacobson?
What day, I haven't looked at it, what day of the week do you have them
They
on?
vary.
Mostly Tuesdays and Wednesdays.
You're killing me, Smalls. No Tuesdays. You said 7?
I say 7 just because 6:30 is gut-wrenching for me, but we'll take a poll of the board. If people want to do 6:30, we can. I mean, we'll just start with, I'll start this way. Trustee Sampalayo? What time would the Education Committee meetings be?
Time?
Yes.
I can do pretty much any time after.
Pick a time, Trustee Sampalayo, that you think is helpful for parents to attend.
7 o'clock is good.
Okay. Trustee Jacobson?
6:30 or 7 is fine.
Trustee Valen?
You usually want me to be hyper-specific, but since you let Aaron say 6:30 or 7, sorry, Trustee Jacobson say 6:30 or 7, I will say the same.
Trustee Warner?
6:30 or 7.
Oh, my gosh. Can you pick a time, please, Trustee Long?
6:30 or 7?
Yeah, okay, so 7 is winning. And Trustee Mans?
I was going to be different. I was going to go in the middle and say 6:45, but, because that's where we're leaning, right? I'm a 7 o'clock kind of girl.
Okay, great. So we're looking at 7 p.m. And we can really put a cap on them to be like a 90-minute meeting so that, you know, we know, because it's going to be staff heavy, and having staff come in and explain things. We don't want our staff here too late because they work all day as well. So thank you all, 7 p.m. Okay, can we move on, Trustee Valen, to adjournment? Is there a motion?
I move that we adjourn this meeting.
Second.
It's been properly moved in second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. 10:32. Thank you. Good night.